scientist.
Suffice it that the blood of 1,000 men and women was spilled in these walls. Limbs twisted and broken. Eyes gouged from bloody sockets. Flesh burned black.
Please. You await the dead. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. What you have to realize is that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Warning, the following show contains conservative posturing, radical Christian ideas, and may offend pagans, Wiccans, Islamic fundamentalists, and other unenlightened individuals. Callers and guests may be subjected to brash and offensive comments by the hosts and any other type of bullying tactics available. But that's okay. We know why you're here.
This concludes this test of the emergency broadcast system.
Tonight is Monday, February 4th, 2008.
What up, woe tours out there? This is Jay Scott.
And this is Chuck Browder here, filling in on the old Woe 2.
For Mr. Trent.
That's right.
Clifford Lackey.
He's missing in action again
He is
tonight.
MIA. He'll be here, though.
Chuck Norris might be able to find him, though.
I think so.
Oh, he's too busy out on the campaign trails with Mike Huckabee.
Gosh. Hey, man, I support Mike. I like Mike.
Well, wasn't Chuck Norris in those, or am I thinking of Delta Force?
And I like
Missing
Chuck
in Action?
Norris, too. Yeah.
His films, too?
Yeah. I remember the one when I was a kid where, like, he was beating the guy up, and they're, like, upstairs somewhere, and the guy had, like, some C4 dynamite or something. And
He slapped it on him?
No, he, like, takes him and, like, pulls the guy's pants down, throws it in there, and, like, then does a spin kick and kicks the guy out the window, you know?
That's so karate.
It's so cool, though, man. When you're 12 years old, man, that's the bomb.
That was
know?
pre Walker, Texas Ranger, of
Oh,
course.
totally, man. That was when he was
Before
cool.
he had mellowed out.
When he did films like Good Guys Wear Black and stuff like that, you know.
Now, speaking of old Walker, Texas Ranger, I saw an episode of it a while back with old Roddy Piper.
Really?
Yeah,
I did
from
not know that.
St. John Smith
Fame.
itself, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was, I think, an ex-boxer, man, a punch-drunk guy. I think maybe he was wanted for murder or something, man.
Walker got his man, though, didn't
Yeah,
he? That's
yeah.
right.
He saved Roddy Piper's behind, man.
What did you think of the Super Bowl last night? Did you watch it?
Oh, man, actually, I thought it was a little disappointing.
I didn't watch it. I figured the Patriots would win, so I just didn't watch it.
Yeah, I kind of figured that too, and I'm disappointed actually that the Giants are the NFC team to be able to stop the Patriots after all these times they've been to the damn Super Bowl. You know, the Rams, the Panthers, the Eagles. I could have handled one of them taking out the Patriots,
Giants, yeah.
but not the Giants, especially with Eli Manning, the little boy Manning. And he won the game on a little boy move too. He got hit a couple times and kind of just spun around and kept on his feet like a little boy would, and then winged it down the field, man. And of course, no one was even expecting the ball to come off or anywhere near a receiver. But it did, man, and that's I think the play that won the game. I'll be honest with you, he deserves the MVP title for that.
Okay.
What I was going to say is that we actually have a local North Carolinian who plays on the Giants team.
Really, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
he actually went to Lefford High School.
Who is he?
I think it's Huntington, I think is his last name.
Yeah.
He's a local North Carolinian, so.
No joke.
that
What
was
year did
pretty
he graduate
cool.
high school?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But that was pretty cool, though.
Interesting.
I liked the game.
I didn't see it.
I was voting for the Giants. So.
It was kind of lackluster for a while. I mean, it was hardcore defense there for about 3 quarters. But, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, a big offensive powerhouse type of game, but it was interesting, man.
When I turned it on, it was like 7-3, and
it was
I watched
close
like
the
a
whole
couple
time.
minutes of it, and then I just turned it off.
Well, and then the Patriots still get that record for 19-0.
Well, that's true. I mean, him and Moss, Brady and Moss set a ton of records this last season. I don't know. My brother was saying too. How many Super Bowls does Tom Brady need?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh man, you know what tomorrow is?
Well, Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday. Yeah, what do you think? Think old McCain's gonna come out
I
there?
hope so, man. I hope so. I know it's closer in the
A lot of
States,
the
though.
Republicans and conservatives are really talking some junk on McCain.
No, I know. I actually, I guess we'll probably talk about this on Wednesday, probably after the fact.
Oh, yeah.
But, no, Ann Coulter, it's big news.
I heard she was going to campaign for Hillary.
For
if
Hillary.
McCain got it.
Yeah, I don't buy it for a second.
I don't either, but hey, I heard that.
But no, I do think actually McCain's a winner for the Republicans if they pick him.
I think you're probably right.
He'll attract so many of the Democrats that just are so turned off by Hillary Clinton that he'll win the general election. And I guess the unknown would be if Obama were somehow to win this thing. And he's catching up pretty fast too now. He's tracking well in Illinois, New York, California. So
you know how those polls are.
Well, but those are big delegate states. Granted, the Democrats have a lot of proportional delegates in a lot of these states, but I think California and New York are both winner take all. So that may end up boding well for him. Oh. He might get the nomination.
You may be correct.
I don't know how McCain stops him because I don't know, Obama seems a little unstoppable. But enough about that, man.
Enough about that, because right now we have coming on here Ms. Lorraine Warren. She is the wife of former Ed Warren. God rest his soul. Together, they published 9 books: Deliver Us from Evil, The Demonologist, Devil in Connecticut, The Haunted, Werewolf, Satan's Harvest, The Ghost Hunters, In a Dark Place, and Graveyard. And, just amazing the amount of work they did. Most known probably mainly for the Amityville horror investigation. And Lorraine continues to have the New England Society for Psychic Research. And so here tonight with us, coming back on the show after a long time, Lorraine Warren. Lorraine, how are you doing tonight?
Fine, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time out to be on the show and to talk with us tonight.
Oh, that's fine, dear. I enjoy talking to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Very much so.
We do want to extend our condolences to you once again for with Ed and everything. We know how much you guys loved each other and how great of a person Ed was.
Oh, yes, dear. We sincerely loved each other. We worked together and lived together and traveled the world together for 62 and a half years.
That's amazing. Amazing
yeah,
stuff.
Ed and I were married. Ed and I were married on survivor's leave. Ed was a hero in World War II. When his ship went down, in fact, the anniversary of it, dear, is tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Where was he stationed in World War II?
The anniversary of that is tomorrow. So remember him in your prayers tomorrow.
I will definitely do
yeah,
that.
The ship went down. He was one of 69 survivors on 2 ships that caught fire when they collided.
Wow. Well, where exactly did it go down?
In the Atlantic.
Okay.
In the Atlantic.
So he fought in Europe then?
He made 5 crossings in Europe, and then after we were married, he was sent to the Pacific, and his ship was numbered for the invasion of Japan.
Oh, wow.
And then he wrote me a letter, and in this letter, well, he wrote numerous letters. I still have them all.
Wow.
And he said that their superior officer had told them that there was talk about a bomb that was going to be dropped that would end the war. He says, but we don't believe that. Nobody believes that.
No.
How strange.
Well, it's a good thing that it happened, I guess, so he didn't have to go over there.
He was sent. What they did, really, they came aboard the ship. I don't know who they were that came aboard ships, because the fact Ed was a gunner. And so they asked for gunners, that weren't going to be needed. They probably would keep a skeleton crew of them on, but that would be all. And did any of them know anything about voice radio? And he did.
Oh.
So he was sent into Nagoya, Japan, and that's where he was when our daughter was born. And that's where we went 2 weeks.
Wow.
2 weeks after we got home from Japan now in 2001. Ed had collapsed. We went to Japan we worked with Buddhist monks in the mountains of Japan on exorcisms and investigations.
Oh, wow.
And we spent a lot of time there. And I asked over dinner one night, I said, this was all being filmed by Japanese television. And the prior of this monastery high in the mountains of Japan had come to this country and worked with Ed and I and his disciples on a case in Massachusetts. So when we got, he always wanted us to come there, that man. He always wanted us, that monk, to come. And unfortunately, he died on our way there.
Oh.
And so we worked with all these other priests, and we worked on the three exorcisms, and we worked on 2 very outstanding hauntings. One haunting had to do with anybody that knew anything about Japanese history, the Michigami tunnels.
Okay.
And there was a mudslide there where 250 people, I believe was the number, were killed. And it was a very, very haunted area. And then the other haunting that we were involved in during that, well, we spent a good period of time there, had to do with a haunting where there was a black samurai warrior, and where his home was, that was taken down, and an apartment complex was built there, and they were having horrible problems in there. So, and then, just 2 weeks after we got back is when Ed collapsed.
Oh.
But he said to me, coming back on the plane, do you realize we just made full circle in our lives?
Wow.
We did.
That's amazing
and
stuff.
He stood in that place. They took us there. It was very emotional for Ed. The irony of this is Japan today is so modernized. It's absolutely beautiful. It has every name store, high-end stores there in Tokyo and like that. And they were absolutely wonderful to us. Ed was so pleased about that. He was so completely pleased. He said to me, you have no idea how happy I am that you met and knew the Japanese people for what they really were.
Oh.
So I have that to live with. But when I said that over dinner, we had an interpreter that followed us from when we got off the plane until we boarded again, although Ed spoke some Japanese. And but nothing was the same, nothing that Ed could relate to. In fact, when we stayed in a hotel in Nagoya, where he was stationed, there was no naval base. Ed had to live with MacArthur's army. And he was standing looking out the window, and he said something very low to himself. And I went over and put my arm around him and said, what did you say, honey? He said, Nagoya, another time, another place. Because there was nothing that he could relate to. He said if he had the opportunity to get off base, what he would do is to walk where he could walk and follow the smokestacks back. But where he was stationed and lived at this Mitsubishi warehouse, that was the Army, and that was MacArthur's Army, and he lived with them. But that place was still intact. Everything was intact. That we found that so ironic. Even the office that he had, where he would go out to the ships, for port director, all of that was still there. And he stood in this one place and put his arm around me and said, this is where I stood when I received word that Judy was born.
Oh, wow.
And then he walked up the dock, and he said, here is where I boarded the Head Creek that took me home.
Wow.
But imagine making full circle in your life and having things fall into place like that.
That is amazing. It's truly amazing.
There's a song. I don't know the title of it, but if I tell you a few verses of it, maybe you'll understand. When we were getting ready to make the decision if we were going to be going there, if we were going to be doing that, we were on hold with Japan, and the song that played was Mother Mary, Come to Me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be. Ed said, we're going.
Wow.
We're going. He said, if that isn't a sign, nothing is.
I agree with that. That's just amazing that the building would still be there, the office and all that stuff.
Everything was. In fact, the Japanese media actually were able. They're the ones that did the research. Ed couldn't find it. There was no way Ed could find it. Everything is all brand new there, and but they were able to research to find out right where he was. There wasn't that many Navy.
That's true.
Very few, a handful of them that were really there. This was right after the war. And so, it was, they lit up that office, and it was emotional for Ed. It was emotional for me, to say the very least. And but to work with those Buddhist monks, they are beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. It was bitter cold there. Oh, was it cold there?
Oh, come on now. You're up north. You're in Connecticut. You're in Connecticut. It's cold up there.
Dear. We know what cold is.
Exactly.
We know what cold is. It's going below zero at the end of the week again.
Oh man, it was what, 60 degrees here today?
Yeah, but at those super high altitudes, man.
No,
I mean, come on.
Where are you?
We're in North Carolina.
You're a tease. You're a tease. I wouldn't mind going on an investigation down there to warm up.
You should come down sometime. John Zaffis, your nephew, he came down with us. What was that, guys? About a year or two ago?
Yeah, December.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, December.
It's been that long.
Yeah, it has been. Twin Lakes Lodge. I saw some.
When
crazy.
I tell you, I have my hands full with cases.
I bet you do.
I have my hands full with cases.
Well, Lorraine, tell us about this new show, Paranormal State. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, 10 o'clock tonight, if you have the opportunity of seeing it, I imagine the same show is used nationwide. I don't know that, but I'm speculating.
Okay.
And it happened in a gradual way. We were asked to speak at the convention, the national convention for the Paranormal Club at State College. But I never really found myself, nor did Ed, affiliated with any of the university groups because they were always changing. The kids would graduate and the thing would fall apart and like that. But we always tried to help them in any way. We'd take them on cases when we'd be there on campus and like that. But with State College, I became extremely impressed with this group. I mean, Ryan and all of these guys and women, they are phenomenal. They are so mature in their approach. And I found that they were using our book, The Demonologist,
oh, wow. Okay.
as their text. And when Ed passed, we were invited. My son-in-law works with me all the time.
Okay.
And when we were invited to go there, it was just a few months after Ed had passed, and they did a tribute at that national convention regarding Ed that was phenomenal. I don't know where they really had to do research. They had photographs of him going back to when he was a child.
Oh, my gosh.
In back of the house, standing with his dad, who was a state cop. They just did Navy pictures of him, everything, wedding pictures, everything. They were able to get all of this information, and they just had such a phenomenal. And then when I got up to talk, naturally I got emotional.
Oh, yeah.
And I got 2 or 3 standing ovations. That was the beginning, hon. That was the beginning of my involvement with helping them and wanting to put them on the right track. So the first case aired, the first case I was on, I mean, they did 22, but the first case that I was on was the one in Queens, New York.
Okay.
And with that, I stayed down there a couple of days, and I worked with them, 2 or 3 days, I guess it was, that I worked with them. And on this case, which had all to do with a woman who became really obsessed with EVPs. They ruled her life.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, it was, I don't know if you happen to see that, but I'm sure some of these are going to run again. So in that house, I addressed all of them, and I said, if I'm going to work with you guys, with one thing that we believe in, and one thing you have to do if you're working with me, and that is bring closure. So that's how I've gone, and that's what I've taught them. And it's not always easy. It is not. Some of these families don't go to church. Some of these families don't have their children baptized. And then they wonder why all of this negativity is attracted to them. And so I told them, Ryan, it will never be easy. But he is one beautiful person. Ryan is a wonderful, wonderful young man. And to head this group, he is ideal for that role. All the other guys, Sergi, the whole bunch of them, the girls, everybody is just great. And they are really, really fascinating to work with because they are so dedicated. Our working hours leave a lot to be desired.
I bet.
You notice our downtime is 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
But our morning time is, are you ready for breakfast yet? Just a little more sleep, please.
Well, now, let me ask you a question. I've asked a lot of people that do the kinds of things that you do.
The what?
Let me ask you a question that I ask of a lot of people that do some of the things that you do in regards to demonology.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever see things that other people do not see? And I know that you're a psychic as well, but do you ever see dark figures? Do you see things lurking around that other people don't see?
Ed was a religious demonologist. Ed probably was one, well, according to clergy throughout the world, Ed had knowledge beyond anybody as a lay person of the area of religious demonology. That took us into countries all over. There are really, I don't want to say this, I really don't want to say it, but there aren't anybody that have studied the area of religious demonology. He knew every nationality, how they would work. You know, he worked, Ed. None of these people that call themselves this have ever done this.
Oh, no, I agree. Ed is definitely the king of that.
With rabbis.
Oh, yeah.
We worked with rabbis where they bring in a minion of 10 pious men from the temple. We worked with these Buddhist monks. We worked with the Mormons who traveled all the way from Salt Lake City here to talk to Ed. And being that we are Catholics, any time that we were at a Catholic university, they would, the priest there, they wouldn't even let Ed go to sleep. They kept him all night. They would say, I don't know how many times I heard them say, how did you gain this vast knowledge? Where did it come from?
Wow.
Ed didn't wear his faith on his sleeve, but believe me, he was a man of faith. And he studied that area of work and worked with them proudly, with any clergy. But he would tell them, I'm a Roman Catholic, but I have the greatest respect in the world for every religion because I sincerely believe there's only one God.
That's amazing stuff.
And, yes, we have seen things, definitely. We've been involved in outstanding exorcisms in Japan, in Australia, a great deal, 27 years of work in the United Kingdom with the Anglican Church. And yes, we have seen numerous things. Just think about the Enfield, England case. Just that alone, if you want to see evil personified, you should see what that was like in that home in Enfield, Middlesex. And there was two teenage girls, levitated, crisscrossed in the air, on film. One girl, Margie, one girl out of the two, dematerialized for up to 17 and a half minutes at a time. In one instance, when she dematerialized, there were men of science from the British Society for Psychic Research downstairs in their house. She dematerialized up in her bedroom with a book in her hands. They were council family, so they were firewalls between the apartments. They were brick. And she went through that, dematerialized, went through that with the book in her hand, came out the front door and walked in right into her house where everybody was there, where we all were.
Oh,
she dematerialized at another time. Why her brothers and sisters were with her in the living room. The mother had just come home from the hospital with pneumonia, Peggy. And she was gone. The one brother came in and said, Mom, Janet dematerialized. She's gone. She says, what do you mean? She said, she disappeared. Did she go outside? No, she was just sitting here with us on the floor, and she just faded. And when she returned, there was like a little, I don't know how to describe it, like a small closet behind the couch in the living room, and it held all the meters because they were council people. That's how the council plays. In other words, the meters were all in there. So I guess when they read them, they had to come in the house to read them.
Uh-huh.
And she was in that thing. They could not put that girl's body. She was a tall, lanky little girl. They could not put her body back in that closet again. It would be like putting a baby back in a mother's womb.
Oh.
Have I seen? Yes, I have seen a great deal.
I knew that. I was just asking the question based on some of the dark. What was the movie, guys? The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Yeah. Yes. Now Ed has the true transcripts from Germany of that.
Really?
Yes, he does.
That's amazing.
He has the true transcripts of that. Yes.
Are you?
I am trying my hardest to get his things organized so that I can have the files my way you know, like Ed. You asked Ed for anything, you'd have it in 2 minutes. But see, I can't. I have to gradually, you know, I'm trying to gradually get everything in order so that I know what. But remember, I'm still researching. I'm still lecturing.
I know that.
There's only 24 hours in this day.
Are you going to put together another book with some
another book?
Yeah.
There's 10 of them. You said 9, but there's 10, honey.
Well, yeah, I missed one. But are you going to
another book? That's going to require some time too.
Now, do you still do the Halloween haunted thing in Connecticut every year?
Every year.
That's amazing. You guys have a big turnout for that, don't you?
Oh yes, we do. Every year we do, and it was. You want to hear something? It isn't very comical what I'm going to tell you because it cost me an awful lot of money, which our agents are trying to get back.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, we took a date the day before. No, not the day before. Yes, the day before. We took a date on a Saturday night. The only reason we took that date is because it was a Catholic university, and the nuns that ran it were Sisters of Notre Dame, and Ed's aunt was a Sister of Notre Dame.
Gotcha.
And so we took that date. We got up to take a 5 a.m., Tony, my son-in-law, and I, take a 5 a.m. from our hotel to the Baltimore airport. We got there, and they said, there's something wrong with your tickets. That was the day of the Halloween dinner seminar.
Oh, no.
Sold out.
Oh, no.
And they said, your ticket is for tomorrow. I says, no, our ticket isn't for tomorrow. I said something. I said, whatever it takes, we have got to go home.
Yeah.
Well, what it took was selling us $690 or $650 dollar tickets one way, each one of us, to get home.
Oh, wow. My gosh.
Yeah. And even though all the proof shows that, our ticket was the 28th, to come home on the 28th, we got home 1 hour before that began.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, so strange things happen, but we were there for it. Yes, we do that every solitary year, honey.
All right. Well, Lorraine, it's been such a pleasure having you back on.
It's been a pleasure to be with you guys.
Thank you so much.
It always is.
All right, thank you so much. We'll have to have you on again sometime soon.
Okay, God bless you.
God bless you, too. Thank you.
Bye-bye, hon.
Bye-bye. That was Lorraine Warren. Her website is www.warrens.net. That's plural, Warrens, WARRENS.net. So www.warrens.net. You can see the bio there. You can actually see the events calendar. And you can also, I believe at this site, if memory serves correct, you can sign up and actually book a place to go and see one of these Halloween spectaculars. Now, I've always wanted to do this, and I've talked about it for a number of years. And I'm just going to have to get on board and do it eventually because, there's only one Lorraine Warren, and I don't know how long she's going to keep it going, honestly. I don't know how long she's going to keep this thing going. So I really want to get out there and see it because they show a film of some of the stuff that they had done in the past. Is just amazing stuff from what I hear from people that have been to this thing. It's just one of those once-in-a-lifetime events that you can't miss. So check that out, guys. And maybe one day you will see Jay Scott and the boys up there, too, on Halloween. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun,
This Halloween's reserved for Sleepy Hollow, though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But we'll work
most
that
definitely.
out. Anyway, we're going to take a short break, guys, and we'll be back in just a little bit with some more craziness after this. And we're back, World of the Unexplained. You just heard from Lorraine Warren, wife of Ed Warren.
And
rest his soul.
the aunt.
And
Am
the
I
aunt.
pronouncing that right? Do we say aunt,
South, we
aunt
say
down
aunt.
here?
Yeah, we say aunt in the South. But, of John Zaffis. So interesting stuff there, and she is definitely always a pleasure to have on the show. What we got here? Grandmother arrested for hiding cocaine in bra during drug raid. Oh, my God. Where do you get this stuff? Oh my God, 62-year-old Henrietta Corwin Days, D-A-I-S-E, Days, and 8 others were arrested near the home of her. Some of them were her grandchildren. She posted a $7,500 bail Saturday. Now, either that came from a long year and career of saving, or that came from a long career of drug pushing. I don't know. No. Anyway, they had a search warrant apparently on her home, and they found her with powdered cocaine stuffed in her bra. They also found 20 crack cocaine rocks, 4 grams of powdered cocaine, marijuana, and $1,000 in cash.
Wow.
Wow.
I wouldn't say it's huge, big time though, man. I mean, but
not nothing like you push, right?
No, exactly.
60-some-year-old.
It's just odd that that you hear that.
I guess for somebody in that age bracket, that is strange, but I don't know. Maybe that was all for personal use, man. Medical needs.
What you got? Yeah, medicinal cocaine.
They used to use it as a local anesthetic.
Got glaucoma.
Dennis did it in the 19th century.
Yeah, well, I guess it worked.
It's not the 19th century anymore, Chuck.
No, it's the 21st, man. We're Star Trek now.
We've passed all these draconian laws concerning all this stuff.
Of course.
But no, I've got this global warming story here.
Oh, God, of course. Yeah. I'm glad you gave it to him.
That's why I gave it to him.
Yeah. But it's off of Reuters Newswire, man.
Oh,
so
wow.
You know it's for real.
Yeah,
They're
right.
Dutch news service.
Uh-huh. What you got on global warming there, Chuck?
Global warming this century could trigger a runaway thaw of Greenland's ice sheet and other abrupt shifts, such as a dieback of the Amazon rainforest, scientists said on Monday.
You mean Al Gore said on Monday? Mr. Nobel Prize.
There's a lot of scientists that probably did vote for Al Gore.
I'm sure
you're probably right about that.
Probably a lot that didn't, too.
No, well, I don't know. I don't know how you could have voted for this administration if you believe in science.
Hey, good point.
They urge governments to be more aware of tipping points in nature, tiny shifts that can bring big and almost always damaging changes, such as a melt of the Arctic summer sea ice or a collapse of the Indian monsoon. I don't know if a collapse of the Indian monsoon would be... I mean, I guess, they get a lot of rainwater and stuff from it.
Yeah.
But I think it kills a lot of people every year.
Those Indian monsoons, you got to watch out for those.
But let's see here. Tipping elements in the tropics, the boreal zone, and the West Antarctic are surrounded by large uncertainty, they wrote, pointing to more potential abrupt shifts than seen in 2007 report by UN Climate Panel. Well, I know that's going to be suspect with you, Jay Scott.
Of course.
And anything from the UN is.
Oh, you know what they are. I know what they are anyway.
A projected drying of the Amazon basin linked to both logging and the global warming could set off a dieback of the rainforest. See, I'm not sure if some of these statistics are even right now that I'm reading it.
Oh, because come on, man! You're the big pundit for this.
Well, one of the big problems with deforestation isn't logging. It's clear cutting to make room or make way for cattle, for livestock.
No, it's all logging's fault. It's all big business. All big corporations.
Corporations
are evil corporations
are involved in the the livestock. I mean, there's the beef lobby, the poultry lobby. I guess you've also got the pork one as well.
Oh yeah. 877-722-7382. 877-SCARE-YOU-TOO. You call us and tell us your global warming story.
I know Ron Paul Hunter, rather, not to confuse him with the presidential candidate, but he's big into this global warming stuff.
I know,
and I'm surprised he hasn't
called in yet.
Blown up our phone lines over here.
Oh, well, come on, call in, Ron.
Well, this article here says even a moderate warming could set off a thaw of Greenland's ice sheet. They could vanish within 300 years, raising sea levels by 6 meters.
300
which I guess
years.
Translates into standard to 20 feet.
Which also translates into we can't prove this. All right, that's right. And none of us are going to be around then to go back and say, I told you so.
Well, what about your great-great-great-great-grandchildren, Jay
Well, they
Scott?
can't come back and say, I told you so, though. I can.
But aren't you worried about them?
No, I don't have any grandchildren.
When you do?
What if I don't ever?
Well, I'm just saying, some speculation.
Okay. Oh, we'll speculate later then after I have some kids.
Well, you plan on having some. You assume that they'll have some too. So you great.
That's what we all assume. But I could
Jay
die in a
Scott
car
has a
accident
vasectomy, so
I could
not
die in a
possible.
car accident tomorrow on the way to court. I've got an hour drive tomorrow.
You don't have a little something saved away in the bank?
No.
You should, man.
No.
Just in case.
Just in case what?
You did.
No, man, don't worry about it. Then it won't matter. I won't care. It won't affect me anymore.
So you can still be the progenitor after death.
I see.
That's very World of the Unexplained right there.
Wait, here we go. I've got something real quick. Denver sex industry ready for Democrats. What does that tell you? Police and adult entertainment industry are both gearing up for this summer's Democratic National Convention in Denver. I wonder why.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing with having a little fun at the convention.
Everyone from Vice Squad to escorts to strip club operators is prepared for the after-hours onslaught expected to accompany the arrival of 35,000 people.
Well, where are the Republicans having theirs this summer? I'm not sure where it is offhand.
I don't know.
I was familiar with the DNC having theirs in Denver. My brother lives.
Oh
out
my
there.
God, you're gonna like this. Some service providers said that while a fun-filled week awaits the Democratic delegates, they would like it better if the Republicans were there because they told the newspaper that, from their experience, the GOP is more inclined to walk on the wild side.
That's what I'm telling you, man. Guys like Ted Haggard, an 8 ball of methamphetamines and a couple gay prostitutes.
Who do we got online?
There are a bunch
here?
of wild ones.
Ron Paul Hunter, what's going on in Raleigh, buddy?
Hey, man, what's going on? I don't know. It's another one of those unseasonably warm days that you guys are talking about global warming.
Oh, my gosh. We're in the South, man. It stays warm.
What was that last line again about the GOP having...
the wild side, yeah.
The wild side? Oh, my God.
I know. It's amazing.
Well, you look at some of these guys. Is it Mark Foley, the guy that was diddling the pages down in Florida, and... You got Senator Larry Craig, who was in the Minnesota bathroom stall picking up men. Ted Haggard.
Those guys are all card-carrying Republicans, right?
I know. It's unfortunate. That's why we kick them out when we find out. We just, the Democrats, they'll protect their own.
Yeah, I know. You guys just cut them loose.
We gotta let go, man. We wash our hands and throw them.
Even though these are usually the guys that are the most outspoken about abstinence policies.
Oh yeah, but we cut them off.
Homosexuals. They're the biggest hypocrites that are out there.
Hey, it works out that way sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the numbers on that global warming stuff are nothing to trifle with, and I mean, it's very serious to places like you guys are got affiliates that rebroadcast out in Scottsdale, Arizona, right?
Oh yeah.
You should get some callers from out there talking about the really, really hot summers. But the other things you were talking about, like the collapse of the monsoon cycle, would be devastating.
But Ron, it's always been hot out in Phoenix, man. As long as I went there when I was 10 years old, and it was 107, 110 degrees during the summer, man. I doubt it's any warmer out there now.
Well, no, I'm not saying technically that it's warmer there, but the things that happen when global warming happens are also very subtle global-wide things. Like, you got to use your science. Got to think a little bit outside the box. Come on, you guys can do it. If you get a global warming, that means that the average wind velocity is also going to increase. The wind parcels are going to have more energy. That means over time they're going to pick up their velocity, which means water is going to travel farther and faster. The rains are going to be more violent and shorter in duration.
Well, why haven't you seen more tornadic activity then in the tornado belt out in Kansas and Nebraska?
Well, that whole thing is these belts are subtly shifting. The storms are getting slightly larger. It's like things are almost taking on a slightly larger scale.
I will have to agree with you on that, Ron. The tornadic activity has increased.
I don't know if there's any scientific data.
There is actually.
Well,
where?
On the internet, where all the facts are, Chuck. No, really, I think it was last year, the year before, the amount of tornadoes were. I believe it was last year. It was so much more than what it had been in ages. It was just the figures were astounding. This is National Weather Service.
And biblically speaking, you go straight to things that Jesus said, which is what you really got to do if you're a Christian to get to the bottom of anything these days. when you go to the Bible, Jesus said, "Look, when you see the trees, when you see the green leaves on the fig tree, you know that the springtime is near." And he said, "Watch out for crazy stuff."
Did Jesus say anything about cyclical patterns in nature?
Well, Well, that is sort of saying something about a cyclical pattern in nature. If you see disturbing natural disasters start to rise cohesively.
And he did say natural disasters would increase.
But my point is how long have we actually been studying tornadic activity? The last 100, 150 years? I mean,
probably.
No,
come on.
I mean, all throughout time there's been tornadic activity. It's a function of like wind velocity, and some of the really bad straight line winds are when the jet stream actually can come down and sort of graze. Like there's times when the Gulf Stream comes really in close and hits the beach and stuff, and right offshore there's a pretty steep current going. I guess it's probably the equivalent of 8 or 9 miles an hour, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, and undertow
for a current, right?
Yeah.
The jet stream can do the same thing. It's like maybe 6 years ago, up in the northeast, or actually in around the Michigan, like the Panhandle area. They had a place where they think the jet stream actually came down and touched the surface of the earth for a while. It blew down an astonishing amount of trees, like 5 million trees or something like that, like a whole hurricane's worth, just knocked down entire forests full of trees. It was amazing to see it, but then it doesn't happen every day. It's not like, hey, boy, they remember that thing that happened up in Michigan just happened, 2 streets down. It's not one of those deals. It's like there always are anomalies in nature, like the perfect storm or the giant wave, that a lot of people can see on the science channels on TV. They happen. They're like interference patterns. The things that really will set humanity back are things that make all the things that humans can do. Like, you think of all the things you can do. Like, Jay, you study martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what a human is pretty capable of doing. And then if you have ever worked with people, like you've been in the military or you've been on a sporting team or anything like that, you know what teams of people can do together. Well, some of these events, like large nuclear wars or an impact from space, are an order of magnitude larger than what humans can deal with, not even with our hands, because remember, we can do a lot of things with our hands, but also with machines. These things are so big that it trivializes, like trying to drive away in a car or having a big earth-moving equipment or something like that. It's like, gigatonnage.
Well, isn't it fairly arrogant then to think that man can stop these?
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't go down, if you're thinking about civil defense, especially I think about civil defense and Christianity in one big thing. And, it's like, I try to get to the basic religious root of things. And what it basically boils down to is, yes, it's arrogant to confront God. You don't ever want to do that. Remember in the Old Testament, when God walked by, no one dared even look at his face.
They get out a smiting stick and break people.
Yeah, well, only the most righteous among the tribe could even see the back of God passing. So the reverence and respect for God is the first and foremost of everything that we have, is respect for humans, for God, and the basis of our religion. We're keeping the prophecies. We're keeping our lamps lit. That means being prepared in a Christian sense, and I will spell it out for you, to run for your life, to run to the hills. Keeping that lamp trim means having a sleeping bag, having some food, having some water, because anybody could do anything. There's crazy people that could have a nuclear weapon. If they set that off too near where you live, your car won't work. Nothing will work. The best thing to do is have a simple plan, and as usual, if you're a Christian, your simplest and best plan is to be able to go to the nearest church. So you should do 2 things. We can make a simple plan right now. If you go to a church in the area, have a simple plan to go with your church, talk with your pastor about it and other people in the church, and then go to the church nearest to your house. And never, ever try to stay on your own during a big disaster. The best thing to do is get your supplies.
What about self-reliance? I thought you were preaching conservatism there for a second, man. What happened about the self-responsibility and self-reliance, man? Why shouldn't individuals have bomb shelters in their homes or sheds or something? With coal.
That's why I'm getting a horse.
Well, there you go.
So you can slaughter it in the end times.
That way I can go down the street.
Look at it this way. Suppose there were a large asteroid sighted heading towards the Earth. In every house.
But hey, didn't we just have some large asteroids that were supposedly impacted Earth that didn't happen?
I monitor these websites. There's stuff whizzing by all the time. It's not tremendously large, but there are asteroids that people are spotting more and more frequently that are. Well, they are. They're 200-300 meter range, I guess, or smaller, and they are seen with it's like $12,000 to $15,000 range equipment. So if you had some money to blow, you could build yourself a robotic telescope and watch them zoom by, or these guys put them up on the internet for free. But if you're talking about hypothetically, if there was some kind of impending doom, the last thing you want as a public planner is every single family trying to make their own plan. What it is, and what I've been trying to get across, however poorly, and please forgive me for my lack of presentation skills.
Oh, you're fine, Ron.
The main point is that people have to be prepared to force the government to give them a plan to follow. That's a very simple plan that you can use in conjunction with the public education system. It's as silly as
You're
that
going to be
may
let
sound.
down, Ron. Anytime you rely on the federal government, they're going to let you down.
Well, I didn't say rely on them. I said force
And the
them.
public school
and the thing
system.
I like about Barack Obama is he sounds like the kind of guy who will force the government authority. Like, we got emergency management, and that's fine. But for a major high-energy event, which is what some of these larger wars and some of these bigger natural disasters are, emergency management is not the problem.
Okay, Ron, we're up against a hard break here, man, but
Yeah, call back after
we can
the
have you
break,
back
Ron.
on for the second hour, man.
Right on.
Not a
I'll
problem.
call back.
All right, we'll talk with you soon, Ron.
All right, find another caller.
All right. Thanks, buddy. All right, you're listening to World of the Unexplained. We'll be back after this. And we're back. And apparently, in Massachusetts in February...
You're just going to go right into it, aren't you?
Yeah, SpongeBob balloon, SpongeBob SquarePants, that is, for those of you uneducated in the SpongeBob world, caused a major blackout in Massachusetts. About 4,000 people lost power after a large metallic SpongeBob SquarePants balloon got hung up in a power line.
Oh, because they've got aluminum in it and it conducts electricity?
And, it got caught in the high-tension wires behind the police station, resulting in a loud explosion and causing some of the wires to fall to the ground. Oh, my gosh. Most customers had their power restored within 5 to 6 minutes, but about 235 customers were without power for about 2 hours Sunday afternoon.
That's not too bad.
No, do what?
I said, what if the police station?
Yeah, the police station could have been one of them.
That's a minor inconvenience.
Gosh. Oh, Lordy. Oh, my gosh. Here's a good one. A blind person was an acupuncturist, a blind acupuncturist. Can you imagine a blind acupuncturist?
No, that sounds like torture to me.
Yeah, the title takes a second stab at the license. Apparently, they rejected his first. This is in Texas. They rejected his first application, and so now he's making a second request.
You can't discriminate against somebody.
That's right.
I mean,
man.
if
ADA.
they can perform the actual tasks,
Yeah.
required of them.
But see, that's why he didn't get the first license because
That's she, actually.
because they were blind.
Yeah.
Was that she earned a master's degree in acupuncture and oriental medicine and passed the national board exams. Huh.
And now she has a practice?
No,
she reapplied.
reapply.
Oh, I gotcha.
And yeah, like I said, ADA, her attorney, said that denying her a license solely because of her blindness would violate the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's true.
It would. And I mean, one would think that you would have to see in order to do it, but as long as they don't list that as a job requirement,
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do that without violating the ADA, to be honest with
We should
you.
just have blind police officers. I mean, half of them are already anyway.
I was going to say that.
Here's my last one that I'm going to throw out here, though. I wanted you to I thought this was funny. A man got arrested for being drunk on his lawnmower. Apparently, the snowstorm.
I didn't know that was illegal. Where is this? This has got to be outside the Southeast.
No, this is in Michigan. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
outside the Southeast. But the police in Michigan charged a man with drunk driving, saying he downed 2 bottles of wine, and he rode off on his lawnmower to a liquor store in a snowstorm. They stopped him on his lawnmower as he rode home from the store.
Wait, he was riding the mower home.
Yeah, he
in
was
a snowstorm.
He rode it to the liquor store
to get liquor.
get liquor and then
wine,
back home.
Yeah, he had 4 bottles of wine in a paper sack, and he told the police that his wife had taken their car, and so the mower was the only way he could get there, which was 2 miles away. And wow, he said that his blood alcohol was over 2.5 times the legal limit, which is 0.08 there. And they also seized his lawnmower.
I wonder if he was weaving back and forth.
Yeah, he was weaving.
I'm sure it didn't take much for them to be clued off to this guy. He's in a snowstorm.
There's a big sack on the back with these bottle shapes.
Yeah. He just hit up the liquor store. They were probably eyeing it in the first place. And,
It's like the guys on the moped, that are riding down. They've got like a 12-pack in the back. You can see the impression, and you can also see that like 2 of them are gone.
You know why that is, though, is because after you've had a DUI and they won't give you a license, man, you can still get a license on one of those little Honda Elites or something like like
I
that.
don't think it requires. Does it even?
Oh no,
require
it's
It doesn't
actually
require a license.
it's not the license that actually it's the big deal. It's the insurance that you don't. I think you don't need the comprehensive insurance. On
Oh, I mean, come on, you're going 35, dude.
I do believe they're classified as liquor sickles.
Yeah. I can drive 35.
But there was actually a number of years ago a lawyer up, in Greensboro we knew. I don't know how.
Drove a moped?
Yeah, he did because he had so many DUIs
Oh, my
that
gosh.
no one would insure him anymore.
That's awful. get on a moped and out to the courthouse.
Maybe he wasn't ever going to get his damn license back, man. That was the only way he was ever going to get around to his clients.
He's like, I'll meet you there. Mine's the yellow moped. That's right. Riding in style. This is the most expensive moped on the market. It's got everything.
Yeah, I thought we were going to give him when we first came in there.
Oh, excuse me.
But if you'd like to, excuse me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get any of that on you over there.
I don't mind being coughed on. Appreciate that.
You could give us a call here at 877-722-7382. That's 877-722-7382. If you don't mind Scott coughing all over you.
That's right.
Or in your ear.
Through the phone.
But yeah, let us know what you think about all this global warming, or the interview with Lorraine Warren,
Or Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, Al Qaeda.
Terrorists.
Exactly.
The terrorists. We got to smoke them out, Chuck. We can't deal with that. We got to smoke them out. Smoke out the terrorists.
But I don't know. I was telling you during the break, man. I was in my backyard. I think it was last week, and I just heard breaking news about how there's this satellite. I think it's a spy satellite that's in decaying orbit. And I went out back to have a cigarette, maybe about 15 minutes later, and I looked up. And sure enough, man, I saw this like bright light in the sky. Was and it looked almost like it was an airplane. But I was like, well, that the contrail isn't uniform and long enough for it to actually be an airplane.
Were you smoking a marijuana cigarettes?
No, not at that time, my friend.
Not at that time.
But I started thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. I wonder if it's that satellite I just heard about 15 minutes ago. And I started looking at it closer and closer, and you could actually see like the plasma arcing off of it, man. It was crazy. It was definitely one of the top 10 crazier things I've seen, man. But it moved pretty quickly. It was over the horizon within about 5 minutes. I was going to go grab a camcorder or a camera or something to try and get it. But I knew as soon as I got it up and running, man, it'd be gone. So I sat there and watched it for a couple minutes. But yeah, that was absolutely crazy. But I heard about it a couple of days ago again. So it may still be in a decaying orbit. It may still be riding low in a fiery hellstorm. Across the atmosphere. Maybe somebody in Bangladesh is watching it right now
And listening to our show.
Yeah, all those internet connections.
That's it.
Over there in India, man. The Microsoft's headquartered over there. At least their tech support's headquartered over there now.
Yeah,
so,
tell me.
There are plenty of computers over there, man, that they could be picking us up on.
I can't ever get anybody that speaks English every time I call someone.
Oh, they speak perfect English over at Microsoft support,
they
man.
may, but
you may have to do that though to work for Bill Gates.
That's a requirement.
But
he's like, the American with Disabilities Act doesn't apply to me in India. I can discriminate all I want.
That's true. No environmental standards.
And pay you nothing. Yes. Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, that sounds like a good old American capitalism right there at work. Yeah.
One of the other woe-to stories I heard over the last week or so. We need some music for this, like woo 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 woo. But I need to bust out the theremin for that, man. Maybe I'll have to do that over the next week or two, man.
Yeah, we need some weird music
so we can have some weird update music. But the Empire State Building, New York City, apparently 15 to 20 cars every day on average now have been losing power in front of the Empire State Building, and no one can explain why. There's some theories floating around out there that maybe the giant antenna that's on the top of the Empire State Building is causing an EM field. That's
I think it's terrorists, Chuck.
It's the terrorists.
Yeah. They found out
setting off little EM pulses in New York City.
Found out a way to get into our cars. That's right. They've entrenched themselves in the city.
When the terrorists have figured something else out, man, you'll know it. You'll know it. They like to do it big.
Oh yeah, I know.
Ramzi Youssef said in I think it was the '93 bombing of the World Trade Center that if he had radiological material, he would have stuffed that in the bomb too and set it off.
Oh my gosh.
So they like to do it big.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Patience. Patience.
Look at September 11th. We never imagined anything like that would ever happen.
No, I agree.
Well, I don't know. Some of us did.
Yeah, well.
But I don't know, especially after...
Are you claiming to be the Nostradamus here, Chuck?
Well, I did say that was a big security risk for a very long time.
Yeah, and they should have figured it out after the first
George
couple
Carlin
months.
was saying it back in the early 90s that, all you need is, one of those plastic knives, man. If you really, care enough about it, you can slit a man's throat or cut a man's head off with a plastic knife if you care enough.
Wow. Or a spoon, for that matter, I guess. But
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he probably made that point as well. But there were a number of people. There were reports going back to the 40s that warned about commercial airliners being used potentially by the Japanese as kamikaze flights in the United States.
I don't think you have to worry about that anymore as far as that happening again. And the reason
you're probably right, because they never use the same tactics twice.
Well, not only that, but I mean the American people at this point in time, beforehand, like I guess they were docile about it because they figured, the plane's just getting hijacked. They're going to go somewhere.
Actually, my father said the same thing too. Is that there are enough people, enough ex-military, enough people that just won't stand for it anymore riding on these planes. And he was assuming that they're probably on average close to a sky marshal per flight.
Oh, that's good.
I probably have 2/3 of the flights that are up there probably have a sky marshal on them now.
And not only that, though, I mean, even if there weren't, I think your passengers would take care of the job now. If me and you and D here were on a plane and we saw some, Islamo fascists get up and start, jamming.
Well, have you seen the Flight 93 film? That's a documentary of the day. They actually brought a number of people who worked at NORAD that day, a number of FAA officials, actually to play themselves in the film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which was actually pretty cool. But yeah, on the flight, man, I guess I don't want to give it away for anyone, but I think everyone's pretty much familiar with the story anyway. One of the passengers, man, actually a number of them mobbed one of the guys. I think that had this fake bomb on him, and they take this fire extinguisher that was in the plane, man, and just beat his head in, man.
Well, there you go, man. That's
and I do think that's probably if another plane were to be hijacked in this country again. That's probably what the result would be. The plane would probably go down. We might not know the reason for why it went down.
But it'd go down, yeah.
But it would probably go down because of the passengers,
fighting
revolted,
back, I mean, I know I would, man. I'd be jumping on top of somebody's head. I wouldn't take that.
Well, I mean, we were always trained before September 11th, too, to be passive about it.
Yeah, because it always
usually it was hostage taking. Usually they wanted prisoners released or money or something, a flight somewhere.
Yeah.
Usually they were bargaining for something. They weren't using the planes as weapons.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that's the reason that what happened. And the whole, I can't remember what it was called now. It escapes my mind, but the whole thing about, the ones that were the imams, the flying imams. You familiar with what I'm talking about?
That got up on the plane. And, now are suing. What is it? The FAA or someone.
Yeah.
As a result, and maybe the airlines too.
Probably are.
I
wish I were the judge on that case.
5 or 7 of these guys, and they said, well, the seatbelt wasn't fitting. They were walking up in the aisles, and
right.
What was it? It was a number of passengers. Actually, you know what it is? I'm not even sure they're suing the FAA. I mean, this may be included, but they also singled out passengers that were on the flight that called in. And said, well, you're discriminating against me. You caused me to miss my flight.
What?
It's a little like the Michael Richards incident, actually. Where they're suing other passengers on the flight for having reported them as suspicious people.
That's right. Well, you know what? I think all those should just be kicked out to the curb. And I think that
those suits?
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
And we should penalize them for even bringing the suit. We should penalize them.
Well, there was legislation. I don't know. It was never enacted, but it was in the process of becoming federal law. So at some point in the 90s, for over litigious lawsuits, baseless lasuits, a lot of the stuff that's just over the top that the court system is just clogged with because it's inundated with it to such an extent that. You would levy fines against lawyers and people who file these things excessively.
There is Rule 11 in federal law. It's for stuff like that.
But is that only for lawyers, or is that?
No, that's for people. It can be a party too. Mm-hmm. At least in this state, it can. I'm not sure what the federal law is. I haven't looked into federal law in so long. But yeah, it can be against the lawyer or the party.
But I mean, it's just like pork barrel spending in the legislative branch. It's the same problem in the judicial branch is this stuff, man.
It's insane. It's insane.
But yeah, if you'd like to give us a call and speak with us on air about any of this fascinating stuff, give us a call here at 877-722-7382. That's 877-722-7382.
Scare you too. That's right. Well, D's on the NASA website.
Wow.
That's cool.
What they got planned? Scrubbing another shuttle flight?
Oh, you silly kids. You still think we went to the moon in 69, don't you?
Oh, man. Stanton Friedman says we did, though, so I don't know if I have any reason to not believe it
He also
anymore.
says that there's aliens.
I buy that. He's worked for, I don't know, about 20 different military contractors over the years, man. I mean, if anyone's an authority, I think, on a lot of this stuff, or is possibly seeing any of this stuff reverse engineered, it's him.
I agree.
I mean, he's a colleague of Carl Sagan's, for God's sake.
I know.
But yeah, that's all I'm saying, man. That, and apparently he thinks Bob Lazar is a tool too. So I don't know what to think about old Bob Lazar anymore.
Oh, just because of one man's opinion.
Yeah, but it's Stanton Friedman. I mean, he's in like this, man, with Larry King. Anytime Larry wants to know about UFOs, man, Stanton's his man he brings on.
Maybe soon it'll be Dan Aykroyd. I don't know.
Oh God, I hope not.
I like Dan Aykroyd.
Well, yeah,
we should get him on the show.
He's one of these.
He's got that nice blues.
His career has kind of been tanking over the last decade or so.
And that'd be Dan Aykroyd now. I'm calling to smack you down, Chuck.
Yeah. Who are you? You're some nobody, man, on AM radio.
AM radio. For the first time ever, NASA beamed a song, The Beatles Across the Universe, directly into deep space at 7 p.m. Eastern on February 4th. So they beamed a song, The Beatles Across the Universe.
That's cool, man. I mean, you imagine all the other crap that's traveling across the universe right now, man. Reruns of
Happy Days.
I can think of worse than that, man.
I can too.
Perfect Strangers is one that comes to mind.
I liked that.
Or
show.
maybe even syndicated re-airings of Howard the Duck.
Or Universal Soldier.
I thought that one was going to come up. That was the first one I thought of, but then I remembered old Howard.
Just trying to peg me this Howard the Duck thing, man. I enjoyed that film when I was like 10.
Yeah, it stars a pedophile too.
Well, I didn't think of it in that way.
He probably was way back when too.
I didn't.
He was always a creepy guy. You know that guy that was
talking about?
The guy. He was in it too. He was the villain in it. He was also the principal in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
He's a pedophile, really?
Yeah, he spent a year or two in prison, and actually, it still has a gig working. He was on Deadwood.
Oh my God!
I mean, I'm not.
Leave it to Hollywood.
Maybe he had a suspended sentence. I don't know.
Leave it to Hollywood with their San Francisco values to put a convicted pedophile back on television.
I'm actually surprised that guy did get out there, and I'm not sure what the whole scoop was on it. I think it was like a male adolescent or something.
No, was he convicted? I mean, I'm asking.
Yeah, I believe he was. I think I saw him. I don't know. I guess it was sentenced, but I think it was he had time served, and he had a 3-6 year suspended sentence.
To check into that for fact checking.
But yeah,
see Mr. Fact Checker over there. Sometimes Chuck brings up things that are factually inaccurate.
No, you can. I'm sure that there's a mugshot of him on Smoking Gun, man. I can't even think of the actor's name offhand. But yeah, he's that creepy looking guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Creepy.
That creepy principal, man. That guy's mustache may be something that's worthy of discussion here on World of the Unexplained, man.
Who's that? Oh,
his
his
I'm
mustache.
talking about.
Okay. Inflatable habitat BBB blog. What is this? This NASA site's just something else to see.
I'm surprised they even have a website with their budget.
Yeah. Got to pay the tech guys, dude. Yeah, it's their scientists, man. They work on the website.
Well, what they only receive, I don't know, it's on an annual something like $50 million a year or something is their budget. It's nothing.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody's website because of ours. So I'm.
NASA's got it going on, though.
NASA's smacking our website around, dude, like bad. I mean, hardcore. They're, whatever though. I don't know how to work.
Your taxpayer dollars go to fund that.
I know. It's great.
Wait, don't your tax dollars go to fund
Yes, mine do as well. I'm just
because Chuck's never paid income taxes, and he gets all his money under the table, so Uncle Sam doesn't know about it. Never paid it, never will.
Little white envelopes.
That's right. So Chuck doesn't have to worry. When he yells about his tax money, he's just doing it in a kind of vicarious manner. But if I did pay taxes, I'd be upset about this. I guess Chuck does pay some taxes. He pays his sales tax.
Yeah, on top of that, I'm paying a number on other assets as well. So, I just as of recent have not been paying technically an income tax.
Well, Chuck, I just don't think you're paying your fair share, buddy. I mean, there's less fortunate people than you out there that work
true.
for $5 an hour.
But then again, if you're
dollars.
making under the poverty level, you don't have to pay income tax anyway. So
yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could use your money for more socially funded Democrat welfare programs. I mean, come on, man. It's just not fair that you have more money than they do. We should all be equal socialists, right?
Well, I don't know. If we're spending the money that we, the amount of money we are on tax cuts and the war in Iraq, we could probably be putting them to,
better use here.
Yeah, better. I mean, healthcare would for children specifically would be a much better use than making war in the Middle East, or giving $500 tax credits to people. I think it would go a lot further.
I think that's the worst idea economically. I really do.
Well, the insurance companies here in the United States are such a racket in the first place.
Oh, it's terrible.
I'm not sure how much good is being done by the free market in the first place.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about this idea of giving people this free money.
Oh, what the tax cut that Bush was talking?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I don't think that's a very good idea either, because where the money's going to end up coming from, right?
Our taxpayers.
Well, no. Well, I mean, in the long run, yes, but then intermediately, it's coming from loans from Asia.
Yeah.
all our money comes
well, all the money for the war in Iraq is coming from Asia. I think Bush's.
I say we just file international bankruptcy after this war thing's over and just wipe it clean. What do you think?
Can we do that?
I don't think that's possible.
We can do anything we want, man. We're the
international
US.
law is sketchy anyway. So I mean,
yeah, we could find some.
You could always say no, we're not gonna, we're not gonna pay it back. But I think it's probably a pretty good thing that we've entered into it for now with China, because now at least they won't want to invade Taiwan or.
Well, here's my question: have we ever paid any of it back?
We're pretty good about paying it back. It's a lot of these countries after World War II that didn't do such a great job in repaying us.
So see, they internationally bankrupted then. Why can't we? What's good for the goose, right?
Well, we got to have somebody invade us first and occupy us. You want that first?
Canada can come down.
Let's keep it real.
What about
here for
the
a
illegal
second.
aliens? Are they invading us?
They are.
I was giving you an opening, and
I
D is
missed
the one
it.
who picked up on
D
it.
caught it, and I missed it. Wow.
But anyway, I think we're coming to a hard break here at the bottom, or not the. I guess it is the bottom of the hour, man.
The bottom of the hour.
That's right.
All right, guys. We'll be right back. You're listening to Woe 2.
Failure to communicate.
Read my lips.
Some men you just can't reach.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down.
And you
this
don't care
wall.
about anything but making money, there will be a giant sucking sound going south.
Not what your country can do
Has
for
no
you.
environmental controls, no pollution controls.
I don't like it any more than you.
Yes, there was blowback.
Well, I'm not a crook.
What would we say here if China was doing this in our country or in the Gulf of Mexico?
The military-industrial complex not only controls our government, lock, stock, and barrel, but they control our culture.
Third Rail airs live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday night. Check out our website at thirdrailradio.com. Careful, it'll blow your mess right out.
Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me. Ow! Ow!
Remember when paranormal radio used to be open to New Age ideas and every possible form of spiritual enlightenment?
It's a religion based on the understanding of consciousness, the understanding of nature, in particular fertility laws.
To my spirit guides are those who have passed over. And, I've always been able to see colors around people, which I've known now to be called auras.
may be coming to the close of one kind of psychic life, and I very much believe that this was what the Maya were really trying to talk about.
Well, we're not putting up with that. World of the Unexplained. Conservative paranormal talk. Big on God. Big on guns. With your hosts Jay Scott and Trent Lackey. Heard Mondays live from 8 to 10 Eastern on Planet Paranormal Radio. Every Halloween at midnight, the devil simultaneously appears in two places. The high plains of India and a quiet cemetery in Kansas. It's November 2nd, the Day of the Dead. Two federal marshals report to the small town of Shinbone, Kansas, moments after a tornado warning, to transport a prisoner with no past, no identity. He is known only as Sin Jin Smith. Starring Roddy Piper, Richard Tyson, Jonathan Davis, Kevin Gage, Gary Casper, John Philbin, Billy Duffy, Charles Cypers, and Eileen Dietz. Check out the movie that critics are calling one of 2007's most anticipated horror films by visiting www.sinjinsmith.com. That's www.sin-jinsmyth.com. St. Jin Smith is a Snapkick Productions film, written and directed by Ethan Detmeyer. Coming soon to a theater near you.
All right, and we're back here for the last hour.
Last hour.
Half hour, that's right. I think that's why I do it, actually. Just shorten it, man. Hour. That's a half hour now.
Last hour.
But you could give us a call here if you'd like at 877-722-7382. That's 877-722-7382.
He just doesn't want to say scare you too. I don't know what that is. What's wrong with you?
Well, because I'm used to doing it on the other show, man.
Well, there you go.
But, yeah, I know, Ron Paul, you're looking around out there, man.
Yeah, so go ahead and pick up the phone.
So, yeah, don't wait till the last 10 minutes, man.
Yeah,
do it now if you're going to do it.
Now.
Do it.
Apparently, there's Etch-a-Sketch artist heading for the Capitol in Ohio.
I've seen some of this stuff, man. Actually, some of it's pretty remarkable.
Really?
Yeah.
The things one can do with an Etch-a-Sketch. 56 of these such drawings will be displayed in this month.
How do you keep them from getting shook up, though, man?
The guy, what he does is he takes it apart.
He takes it apart?
After he's made the art out of it, he takes the back off and dumps all the stuff out.
Oh, he dumps this.
And then puts it back together.
Okay, so he's reconfigured the Etch-a-Sketch so that it won't shake and erase all your stuff.
You can imagine that, right? You get some crazy guy in there. Just around
You've destroyed thousands of dollars of artwork.
Or some kid.
And not only that, but like Etch-a-Sketch supplies him with tons of Etch-a-Sketches to actually do these one-off pieces of art.
Well, it's great promotion for him, man.
Yeah. He says the guy claims to have learned how to use an Etch-a-Sketch when his daughter was hospitalized. So I don't know. Reading a book would come to mind for me, but hey, however you take
when
out
something like that happens, man, you get a lot of free time on your hands sitting in a hospital room. Etch-a-Sketch is pretty interesting, I guess. Way I guess to pass the time there, but he's making money and making news out of it now, so can't knock him for it.
Well, hey, it's weird. I don't know. Would you consider Etch-a-Sketch art, D? I mean, you're the art guy.
I guess in a way, I could see how it would be considered art, but my own personal opinion, no.
Well, come on, you're the art guy.
You're not into Dadaism, man?
D. Clements is the art man.
Well, I mean, I am, but I don't know. There's just something about actually doing it on, an Etch-a-Sketch versus.
I don't know, man, but shouldn't every liberal piece of trash be your palette? I mean, I'm sorry.
Liberal piece of trash.
Well, you know what?
There's a paint up the dims.
There's a guy who was in I think it was an art gallery in London. He had one extra space on his wall that he didn't have filled, so he went to the pub across the street. Pulled a urinal off of the wall, took it in there, attached it, and all he did was sign his name to it.
And that was art.
And that was art.
Well, it's far better, though, than some of these guys that paint with their excrement.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
that's.
Or what was it? Wasn't it
that's
that
just
Mapplethorpe?
totally
Didn't he inject his testicles with?
No. His anus.
Oh, his anus.
Yes,
With,
and then he just shot it out at the back. Yeah.
that is
Yeah, that's pretty
quite
nasty, too.
amazing. Yeah. All right.
Luckily, I didn't know any of those guys when I was at NCSA.
Yeah,
man.
because they probably went there. Or at least fans of it.
I'd never seen any of their work.
Well, I think we should paint up all the liberals, man. We should use them as artwork. We can paint little red armbands on them.
Well, why don't we have equal opportunity then? Paint up all the Republicans or all the or not
red,
Republicans
with red, white,
all
and
the
blue
conservatives.
all-American flags.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm for that. Real
Okay.
patriots. All right. Ron Paul Hunter,
Everyone can look like a bunch of douchebags.
Ron Paul Hunter, you're on the air.
I was going to try to rock the house with some solid stuff, but I see you guys are in the paint world. What's going on with that?
What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. What about Super Tuesday? Is that not tomorrow? Is not Major Delegate throwing down, going down? Or am I mistaken?
You're correct. It is tomorrow.
Okay, well maybe we should.
What are your predictions?
All right, let's just go for it all. Long-term predictions, just so I can get it on the record. I'm saying
Okay.
landslide Obama.
Landslide, really?
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying.
And give us some numbers here. I mean, what are you saying? When you say landslide, do you mean 10% more? Do you mean 5% more?
Well, let's not even talk percent because it's delegates that are at stake here.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
right. Well, that's exactly right in both cases, though. But I'm talking about popular vote and probably delegates. It'll be an overwhelming majority.
Really?
That's what I'm thinking, man.
Okay.
At this point, the race looks to me, it's not so much of who's surging forward, it's just who's getting blown out of the water. People are emerging with tremendous personality flaws, which make them very endearing and very American, and we all have them, right? I feel great respect for everybody in the race. Remember, I got the civil defense plan that I had a bunch of money attached to it so America could
right. It's all that money that Bush hasn't spent for the faith-based initiative.
Right. So we get all this money going. It has to be administered by people. All the candidates in the whole race would go into a special board of stewards that would go.
So, but do you really think that a candidate like Obama or Clinton is going to approve of any kind of faith-based initiative?
Well, all right, here's what I'm saying.
Well, the money's already been approved for. It just needs to be spent now. All you have to do is put an executive up there to appropriate it somewhere.
You don't usually totally reverse presidential initiatives. What you try to do is enhance or improve them, and that's what I'm trying to do through the faith-based initiative. If I was going to be able to give the president an ink pen and a piece of paper and say, this is what I think the country needs to be secure, and then that means the survival of the children of the country and the survival of enough people to continue the constitutional system, which ensures religious freedom.
So you for universal health care then?
No, that they're look.
No,
I can talk.
But you want to
about
ensure the
but-
safety and the health of all the children here,
Right.
And that doesn't square up.
Well, here's the way I intend to do it. It's like a dispersed civil defense system where you would have people literally go to a site. There'd be like one site for every 150,000 people. You bring in the special forces medics, the cancer-sniffing dogs, the high-technology diagnostics, and people literally drive to the site.
That's a lot of money there, Ron. You're talking about spending a lot of money.
We've got
That's a lot of loans from Asia to take out.
It's like I found out today.
You're gonna have to double mortgage your house.
So remember, I'm walking around in the McKimmon Center where I work, where they talk about global warming. We are in North Carolina, right? Remember, we're on water restriction level 4.
Yeah.
We got like 100 days of water till all these major municipalities grind to a halt and have absolutely nothing to drink.
You know, I've actually got a theory or I heard a theory
Is that
a.
not the current story in the paper, guys? Yes or no, right?
Well, no, you're right. You're exactly right. And actually, I heard a theory from a tow truck driver over the weekend as to why we've had these warmer.
Don't ask why he
winters.
was talking to a tow truck driver.
It's okay to talk to people, man. I spend all day talking.
No, I'm saying the reason he was talking to a tow truck driver. As I said, don't ask why. He had to get his car towed. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's always bad news. But anyway, man, I was talking to him, and he was telling me the rationale behind why the winters have been so warm here, and why they used to get 1 or 2 good snows a year, and now you get nothing, is all the asphalt, all the clearing of all these areas, the concrete, the black tar that keeps the heat in.
It could be the asphalt is the heat re-radiating, or it could be the cars putting out more stuff. But the simple fact is, if the entire globe is warming all along the ring of fire, if you get a hotter planet inside the planet, it makes a lot more lava.
What are you referring to as the ring of fire? Because commonly that's a geological term referring to a lot of the plate tectonics in the Pacific. Is that what you're referring to?
It's also referring to the volcanic activity associated with all those plate boundaries. In other words, it's a continuous set of plate boundaries that go all the way around the Pacific. That's called the Ring of Fire. It's like then the mid-ocean trench is like 40,000 miles long. It's the longest continuous structure on the face of the Earth. So the Earth is somewhat fractured through the ocean beds, and it's a long continuous structure. And in the Pacific, it's called the Ring of Fire, which surrounds all the plates there, right?
Right. And it's one of the most, geologically active areas. Well, I guess because it's a very large area, but all those ridges, I guess you're talking about, the borders are some of the most active geological areas on the face of the planet.
Totally. And those, just a few volcanoes can put out so much more CO2 than like a year's worth of cars.
No, you're exactly right.
There could be other things beyond global warming, and it doesn't always have to be on the surface.
It doesn't always have to be man-made either. And I think people are generally arrogant to think it's always, that humans are the cause of this issue. Yeah, we're a contributing factor.
Right.
But
there could be larger cycles. And the thing is, it doesn't really matter. And, you talk about being psychologically prepared. You can talk about things. You talk about things in a budget sense, in a very scientific sense. In other words, how much money can we physically understand? And we use mathematical models to try to analyze stuff. But remember, the thing you're trying to analyze is a giant disaster. And the thing the disaster does is separate people that produce food from people that don't produce food. So when the climate is producing food and when you got a surplus of food, then you work on those non-agricultural specialties. So it's important for America to have an expensive, important program. And the thing, remember, this is something that I don't grasp easily because I'm not a money guy. But it has to be expensive because it's going to pay for all this food that we're going to produce and store. But the reason it has to be expensive is to punish the people who didn't do it over those years in the intervening time. And it's also to show how important that it is everybody in the country and everybody in the world.
It sounds like you want an agrarian-based society. It sounds like you're reading from the book of Marx and Engels here, man.
It's in everybody's roots to want to be self-sufficient. Americans love to be self-sufficient. You hate having to borrow money from people or borrow this or borrow that.
Yeah, but I want to be self-sufficient by doing my job, not by growing a plant.
Okay, but that's still, what I'm saying is doing your job isn't producing any food. You're putting yourself at the mercy of somebody who's specialized and has got the equipment.
Right, the grocery stores, the agro subsidies.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want Farmer Joe representing me in court.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Jay. What I'm saying is, as long as the climate goes on the way it is, that's beautiful. But if something happens and the climate shifts rapidly,
there's only about 7 or 10 days supply of food in this country in the works. If everything were to come to a standstill and there were no interstate commerce for a period of 10 days, everyone would starve.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we wouldn't starve because we're fat Americans, but we wouldn't have anything to eat.
I got beanie weenies.
It takes several months to starve to death.
That's why I have my own garden, and I
look at some of these places in East Carolina, man. You see some of these people, man. They're not going to starve to death in a month.
No. And that's probably true for a lot of people. A lot of people have several weeks' worth of food. The thing is, if you're looking at a long-term disaster, it's several years' worth of food, which requires education. It requires scientific application. It's as big a thing as the Manhattan Project. It's the survival of the country. I can't believe it's such a trivial subject to people, in that if there is some disruption to our civilization, we should continue as its business for business.
Well, I don't think it's a trivial subject, Ron. I think it's trivial the way that I guess environmentalists, or rather environmentalism has been turned from, I guess a more humanitarian philanthropist endeavor to, basically a political football.
Yeah.
It's used to promote not only environmental agendas, but, I hate to say it, because I am left of center, but it does promote leftist, far left agendas at times that have nothing to do with the environment.
No, you don't say.
The beauty of civil defense was it appeals to all people. Like, everybody's key to their strategy of how to execute all their political goals requires assembling a lot of people together. So by having the president put into executive order that it will be educated in the public education system, that didn't sound good. It will be taught in the public education system that children will learn how to do the civil defense, and the civil defense will be based around producing and storing food and blah, blah, blah. That makes all the parents get involved in it, and then that sucks everybody else into it.
So have you had any contact with the Obama campaign or Obama staff about any of your civil defense plans?
I am actually going to submit it to them more and more, and I'm trying. I shout out as much as I can on the radio for Barack Obama, because I think he's the best candidate. And I can categorize that in trying to compete his strategy with other things. But the thing is, he understands how the government works. When he says he's going to do all these things, he can literally have them loaded
with his 2 years of experience in the Senate and his 2 years of experience in the Illinois State Senate.
So what I'm saying is that makes it efficient for him to actually write legislation. He can hit a button on his laptop if he gets elected and transmit all the orders to the government that instant, and they can already be in there. I've got up on my computer my Deadhead thing. Have you seen that? The Grateful Dead have come back out of retirement, and they're going to play for Obama. It says,
I have seen that.
Deadheads, Obama 08, fired up and ready to go. It's like phillesh.net.
But it's not the Grateful Dead without Jerry Garcia. I mean,
well, that's true. It's not the Grateful Dead without Jerry Garcia, but it is it's everybody else. So
I guess they figure from one cocaine snorter to another.
He wasn't snorting it; he was smoking.
I'm sorry, my bad. One cocaine smoker to another.
Dear God, man.
No, I'm just wondering. I mean, what do your friends say? I mean, what's the pulse in Raleigh? You know, as far as
everybody I talk to, I talk to people, and I usually bring it up kind of left-handedly because I do one of those jobs. It's like kind of a service economy job, so I'm sitting there pushing out brake services all day to people at this convention center. And so I'm out there, and I get to talk to people when they bring in all their stuff. I get to see all the scientific data. And I talk to people I work with and just people I know. And usually when I bring it up, I'm like, well, we're talking blah, blah, blah. What do you think about politics? You see the debate. And they're like, yeah, well, it's really interesting. And then it comes up, are you going to vote for Barack Obama? And I say, yeah, and they usually say, yeah, too. So what I'm saying is if it was secret strategy, there could be a tremendous popular landslide. It would take everybody by surprise. You could just back the guy you want and just say ambiguous stuff like, I think, John McCain's the best Republican for the nomination or something. Not saying I would vote for him. And you know what? I would maybe vote for him. I don't know who I would vote for in the Republican Party. It gets down to a man's philosophy. They say he's emotional. He can't control his emotions. And I was saying, well, he's been analyzed by, obviously, the Viet Cong when he was in prison and stuff.
Don't go there, Ron.
Well, look, man, what I'm saying is there's two sides to every there's
let me
political race. You got to be brutal, and then you also have to say you're not talking about being brutal because you hate somebody.
Let me ask you this, Ron.
Saying I'm an adult. I understand what's at risk.
Let me ask you this: If Hillary O'Clinton gets
Dear God, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, they're all the same to me. All these
your childhood.
All these liberals are the same to me, Ron. But no, if Clinton gets the nomination, are you going to vote for McCain then?
See, that's a good question, and I really don't know. I'm saying it's one of those wait-and-see things. I was wrong about a lot of things. I've been wrong politically before. Obviously, if I voted for George Bush, I wasn't seeing the whole picture of what was going down. I didn't know things were going to unfold into this entire Middle Eastern scenario. I was imagining something entirely different. So it's like, I don't know.
You voted for him twice, didn't you?
Do I?
You voted for him twice, didn't you?
No, just the second time. The first time I was kind of cringing a little bit, and then I was like, well, not too much bad happened. It didn't get much better, but it didn't get much worse. And now it's like a lot of people are really hemorrhaging. It's like this terrible thing, like the Snowden thing, Catch-22, being even associated with the military. Everywhere you look, everybody still is ready to go. They're bright and energetic, and they know what their mission is. But you can feel the misery out there somewhere. You know it's out there. There's just no way to avoid it. So everything has its price, man. The horrible, horrible price. And that's what I'm saying. When you're talking about politics, you want to remember the people for the job have to represent all the people in the country. Right now, you got a few people representing the country, and then you got what appears to be quite a few people looting the place, for want of a better term. I mean, that's kind of a generalization, but what I'm saying is if Barack Obama can bring constitutional accountability, get the country properly defended, give us some kind of internal accountability so that we wouldn't just run loose like crazy people, in some Stone Age recreation. I mean, if civilization gets a good solid hit from something, we need to have a civil defense plan that interlocks positively, that says, what you're going to do. You're going to go pick up your kid at location X. So you're going to have, something to do after that. It's all going to go together. You'll have plans that are announced over the radio, and you'll know what's going on. That should be done for everything. And there's a lot of things like that in the country. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like you imagine fighting, right? Like the president and everybody here in Congress, and they imagine they're going to go and do their little job. And then they get involved in something, and it's like it sucks them out of their office, and they're always out doing this, and they're always out doing that. It's like sometimes they forget to do their jobs. There's all these things in the country that need to be done. And what people are hearing from Barack Obama is, I hear you out there, America. When you tell me something is broken, I will get an organization and multiply myself by having capable people and develop teams and concepts to analyze these things and actually implement some kind of action. The key, and why I'm pitching the civil defense thing so big, the key to that is to give the man capability. If we all volunteer our man hours, that would be giving someone like him the capability to do what he said he is going to do, and it could be our one shot to not only fix our country so it runs the way we want it to, but if we were to somehow, quote-unquote, come into a horrible disaster, it might be the children's only chance of actual survival.
Now, you're talking about horrible disasters here, Ron, and I have to ask you, man.
I'm pretty generic on that.
Well, I mean,
I cover all horrible disasters in my civil defense program, but I talk specifically about any number of them. You know, you want to get specific. The bigger they are, the more horrible they are.
Well, I'm alluding to another one, though. If you potentially do nominate, and he is the nominee of the Democratic Party here this fall.
What are you getting at?
What am I getting at? Don't you think somebody might go and shoot him?
Well, that's part of the risk every politician takes right off the bat. That's the last thing I'm sure he's.
Do you think the country can handle a national tragedy like that after September 11th and Katrina? And
most people are so emotionally traumatized by expecting some kind of response from their government and not getting the proper one that they expect that they're ready for almost anything.
I don't know about that, Ron.
I know you don't, and I don't. But remember, who's got the somewhat bit of experience? Me, the guy who was a National Guardsman and a FEMA inspector, and who's gone out and talked to a lot of people.
But I'm like Hillary Clinton. I've seen it all, man.
That's beautiful, man. Okay, I'll give you credibility. You have credit in my world, man. If you say you're saying it's going to be okay, I'll say okay.
Well, I interpret the law every day.
Well, you weren't. You were saying everybody's going to kill the weather, man. I dig you, man.
Well,
I say America will be more potato famine than it will be, the "Don't Bring Me Down" scene from Spinal Tap.
Well, Ron, thanks for calling tonight, buddy. We appreciate it.
Hey, Jesus bless you guys, man.
You too, brother. Take care. All righty. Wow. I think that's the most Obama hype I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
I'm in pain right now from hearing all the Obama.
You know, at first I thought, don't believe the hype, man, with Obama, but it's caught on and he's gained momentum, man.
What do you think, man? What's your deal, Chuck?
I think he very well could.
Do you think Ron Hunter's right?
He might. I mean, like I was telling you before, I think on one of the breaks, California's winner take all, New York's winner take all. He's from Illinois.
Yeah.
Those three there, he very well could take. And neither of them are campaigning really in the Southeast. Hillary's done a little bit in Arkansas. I mean, she might take West Virginia and Georgia. Well, I don't think she'll take Georgia.
Okay, well, as it stands now, if there's no really hardcore screw-ups between now and then...
It's going to be close. It's going to be real close. But I think that he might, when everything's said and done after the Super Tuesday, man, I think that he might come out with more delegates. He very may well. I mean, well, I guess McCain was endorsed by Schwarzenegger out there, but
McCain's been endorsed by everyone.
Well, it does seem that he's been endorsed by just about everyone.
Well,
but Obama's had a number of endorsements.
The Kennedys, didn't they endorse him?
Yeah, the Kennedys. John Kerry endorsed him.
Yeah.
There was talk about Al Gore even coming out, but last time he came out and endorsed a candidate, it was the kiss of death for Howard Dean.
Well, maybe you should come out and endorse Obama.
Oh. I don't think he wants to do that to him.
I understand.
But yeah, this Obama thing apparently is real. I really was very skeptical. I was very skeptical about it. But when he won Iowa, I thought that there really was a real possibility that he would be a player in this, and he is.
Well, we were wrong. Doesn't happen much, guys.
Apparently, well, and experience and electability.
They're just not all that.
They're not a very high priority for the American people. So I can understand
how it happened.
Well, I guess you could put it that way.
Yeah. So give me your Republican thing real quick here. Who do you think's going to win that?
Well, I don't want to jinx him, but I'm really rooting for John McCain here. Yeah. I hope he buries Romney.
What do you think about Huckabee?
He's not going to get it, man.
Okay.
In fact, he might siphon off enough from Romney so that McCain gets this thing.
Could be right.
I hope I am.
Yeah, you know who I'm rooting for.
Huck, or what do they call him? Huck? Like Chuck Norris?
Alrighty. Well, this is Jay Scott. You're only JDDJ on the Omnisound Radio 1 network. Sorry, that was a little hiccup. Chuck, go ahead.
This is Chuck Browder dropping science at you at 64,000 kilobytes per second.
And
I don't even know if that's a real number, but
I don't know
we'll roll with it.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday night, 8 to 10 on the Third Rail, thirdrailradio.com. You guys take care. D.
see you guys